Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today I'm headed to Oceanside, California to meet up with DJ Kane. Now he's a shaper and board builder and does a lot of work with the folks at Pyzel Surfboards. Now you guys ask me all the time, when you order a custom, what kind of glass layup should you do for a PU Poly or EPS Epoxy? This is going to be fun. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show.
Been building surfboards 20 years. Been John's head shaper here on North America for 10 years, and co-owner of Harborside Glassing, and we do about 8,000 boards a year, primarily for Pyzel. So everything I'm saying here is either from my experience or my glassers' experiences, and kind of just looking at it from this side of things. The basic shortboard normally has 2 layers of 4 ounce on the deck, single layer of 4 ounce on the bottom. As you get into bigger guy boards or guns, stuff like that, long boards, we'll kind of use more 6 ounce as well. And then as you go from there, some guys will try alternative glass, such as S glass, D size. You see stuff like Bolan when it comes to mid lengths and long boards, kind of get that Coke bottle green look. But for the most part, particularly in short boards, we're using 4 ounce E and 4 ounce warp. What warp means is it's basically E glass, but it's going to have less of the fill and more of the warp, meaning there's going to be more strands running vertically along the stringer as opposed to horizontally or perpendicularly. And what that's going to do, it's going to lay a little bit flatter. Most guys are going to use kind of one of each on the deck, and then whatever their preference is on the bottom, whether they prefer to use 4 ounce E or 4 ounce warp on the bottom. Normally where your fin boxes are, you have an extra fin patch, 4 ounce, either kind of a football shaped patch over the boxes, sometimes even like a big kind of butterfly patch. But yeah, for the most part, you're going to be using 4 ounce on shortboards.
Now with like a stock glass job like you're talking, my experience has been they're a little bit heavier, right? But they're also more durable. And, you know, a heavier board in certain cases when surfing, let's say there's some chop in the water or you're surfing a wave with some power, having that weight is going to be beneficial. Now, for me personally, living in Southern California and the point breaks and stuff that I like to surf, I don't get big, powerful waves very often. So PU Poly, for me, I want a little bit more performance. And I get asked questions all the time from our community. How do I order a custom where it's going to give me more durability, more or less from pressure dents, and make this board last longer, but still be lightweight and have a good flex to give me that performance I'm looking for?
Right. That's a good question. We get that a lot. I personally pretty much ride stock glass jobs. So as a glass shop owner, I'm riding stock glass jobs. A lot of the times, there's nothing special about my personal boards when it comes to that. A guy like yourself is looking for a light board, trying to get the most out of it, surfs every day, pro level surfers. A lot of times they're going to do a layer of 4 on the bottom, a layer of 4 on the deck with a 3/4 patch, meaning that the first layer that goes on the deck isn't going to go the full length of the board. It's going to stop about where the logo is here. And the idea is you're going to have 2 layers where your feet are going to be, but not necessarily where your foot's not going to be on the nose. One main thing that people may have heard over the years is S glass. S glass is a different treatment for the cloth and a different yarn. And basically, it's going to have a higher tensile strength, break resistance, and for the most part, it's going to have a more dent resistant. It's also stiffer, so don't think that more is more and go, I want S-glass top and bottom, all sides, everything S-glass. A lot of guys are going to charge you $15-20 extra for a layer of S-glass. Pretty much every glass shop is going to have a roll of S-glass or availability for S-glass. But you are going to make a board stiffer when you add an exceptional amount of S-glass. It's all about trying to have the tightest lamination with no air, and not a bunch of excess resin on it, if that makes sense.
Sure. So you mentioned resin. From my perspective, you're an expert in the field. If you own a glass shop and you're a board builder, I know you shape too, and I want to ask you a question that I haven't had much experience in. Is a polyurethane foam, do you prefer a epoxy resin or a polyester resin, and why?
Polyurethane can take both epoxy or polyester resin. Those would be the two primary resins. EPS can take only epoxy resin. If you put polyester resin on EPS foam, it disintegrates. You find out real soon that you messed up. Polyurethane foam is a little bit different in the fact that you can use either. Epoxy resin is more expensive. It takes longer in production wise. A polyurethane polyester resin board, we'll just call it a poly board, goes through my factory in about 4 or 5 days, whereas an epoxy, if everything goes well, goes through in about 10 days. So just the production time in general, plan on waiting a little longer if you're going to order epoxy boards. But you can build some really cool boards that are polyurethane foam with epoxy resin. I would say resin wise, epoxy is the better resin. Blank wise, polyurethane is the better core, in my opinion. Just as important as the fiberglass and the glass job is the type of foam you're using. So pretty much all the blank manufacturers have like their super light, their middle range, and then kind of like their heavier longboard foam. If you're a guy that dents your boards and you just go through boards, it's probably a good thing to go for that middle weight in the blank density as opposed to the ultra lightweight. The ultra lightweight is gonna fall apart quicker. No matter how good of a glass job, if the blank's not good, it's gonna fall apart. So with a good glass job and a strong blank, polyboard should last you pretty long.
Now the question about pressure dents, an epoxy resin on a polyurethane foam or a polyester resin on a polyurethane foam, will one pressure dent less?
As to if we were putting just epoxy or poly on a poly blank, the epoxy glass job would be stronger than the poly.
Now, DJ, EPS epoxy, maybe tell us quickly what a stock glass job looks like. And I know there's different densities of even foam there. You have a 1.5, 2.0 density. And obviously, I think what you've been talking to us about with polyurethane foam, that those different densities will pressure dent less, and some are a little bit stronger, but then they're a little bit heavier. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
So the standard EPS foam is normally 2-pound foam. As soon as you go lower than that, you're going to have a board that's ultra light, but dents really bad. There's no way to make a really strong 1-pound foam board. Even wrapping it in carbon and everything, it's going to dent. So at Paizel, our standard EPS epoxy boards normally have a layer of 6 and 4 on the deck with a layer of 4 on the bottom. On the electrolytes, which are the stringerless ones we would do a layer of 6 on the bottom with a layer of 4S and then 4E on top of that on the deck. And the idea there is the 6-ounce bottom and lap wrapping around is going to make it a stronger board with less breakage or possibility of breaking, not having a stringer. And then the 4-ounce S is going to give you a little bit more strength when it comes to the denting wise. And then the 4-ounce E is going to give it a nice cap over that S class to kind of keep that nice and flat and keep it strong. So if you were looking to do an ultra light EPS epoxy board, you can do a double 4 deck with a single 4 bottom, and you will have a light board. It definitely is a lighter alternative. It's probably going to dent, but it's going to be light and it's going to be lively.
Now that we're talking a little bit about foam, there are superior foams out there. I've ridden some myself. You know, we're talking about this before the interview.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different types of foam. Polyurethane, EPS, XTR, which would be the extruded. Varial would be another one on the high end side of things. And everything has its pluses and minuses. And I'm sure everyone says theirs is the best. The extruded foam is very hard. So if you're a guy and you're really worried about pressure dents, that might be a route to go. You can reach out to Paizel and you can order your Ghost in XTR. If you're a guy that you're just looking for light, you can order Eps Epoxy. If you like standard poly, you can do that. And you can go, hey, I want to have a little bit more strength. We can do a layer of 6 ounce. We can do a layer of S-glass. We can do some different stuff. So kind of going to what your needs are is kind of where you need to angle it, more so than like one board fits everyone kind of thing. It's going to kind of be geared towards where you're surfing and how you surf.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode on board building. Special shout out thanks to DJ for joining us. Look, if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.